have the good intentions. The author says, خلق العرش والقلم الأعلى واللوح المحفوظ. The creation of the Arsh and the high pen and the guarded tablet. Al-Arsh. So Arsh means throne. Usually that's how they translate it. And if you look into the Arabic dictionaries, they say Sarirul Malik. Sarirul Malik, the bed of the king. Now, for me, I didn't correlate throne with bed. I used to correlate throne with a chair. Might be because of Eurocentric view. Because when I looked at some other stuff, like just some different pictures and some historical claims, so the king doesn't always sit on something that looks like a chair. He might actually sit on something that looks like a bed or a couch. Anyway, this Arsh is the ceiling of paradise. We're going to see what we have here. I just wanted to talk about it linguistically a little bit. قال الله تعالى, said God, exalted is He. وهو رب العرش العظيم. And He is Lord of the grand Arsh. وهو سرير. It is, so sarir usually means bed. Some people said a platform. له أربع قوائم. It has 4 legs. It's like a bed. It's ceiling of paradise, and it's like the sky to paradise. Yani, it is to paradise like the sky is to the earth. The samat being a solid object, as you know. وَمَكَانُهُ فَوْقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ السَّبْعِ. Its place is over the 7 heavens, or 7 skies, or 7 firmaments. وَهُوَ سَقْفُ الْجَنَّةِ. And it is the ceiling, or the roof, or the rooftop of the garden. مُنْفَصِلٌ عَنْهَا. But disconnected from it. Not sitting upon the walls of the garden, sealing it. Now, I'm saying ceiling with the meaning of being the upper part of the structure, not with the meaning of enclosure, because this Arsh is disconnected from the garden, over it. ويدل على ذلك ما رواه البخاري في صحيحه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. And what proves that? What proves that it is the ceiling or the rooftop or the roof of the garden is Al-Bukhari's narration in his authentic book that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِذَا سَأَلْتُمُ اللَّهَ الْجَنَّةِ فَاسْأَلُوهُ الْفِرْدَوْسِ فَإِنَّهُ أَعْلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَأَوْسَطُهَا وَسَقْفُهُ عَرْشُ الرَّحْمَنِ. When you ask Allah for the garden, then ask Him for paradise. Or when you ask God for heaven to admit you into heaven, then ask Him for paradise, Al-Firdaus. You hear how it sounds like paradise? Al-Firdaus. Firdaus. Then ask Allah for paradise. فَإِنَّهُ أَعْلَى الْجَنَّةِ. It is the apex of the garden or of heaven. وَأَوْسَطُهَا. And it is the middle of it. Yani, it is the deepest part of it. It is the deepest part of the garden. وَسَقْفُهُ عَرْشُ الرَّحْمَنِ. And its roof is the Arsh of Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman being God. So Al-Jannah, the garden, the word Jannah means bustan, garden. So I was usually going to translate it as garden. Sometimes I'm saying heaven. And in particular, I want to say other than paradise here because I want to translate Firdaus as paradise. So I might even say paradise sometimes for Jannah, but here I don't want to say paradise for Al Jannah because I want to say paradise for Al Firdaus, which means a special place in the garden. Al Jannah, the garden with a capital G, there's a special place in there called paradise, if you want to translate it that way. It is the apex, that means the highest part of the garden, and it is the center. There's a word there. We translated it once. It means the deepest part. You're going deeper and deeper into the garden from the outside because paradise has a wall with entrances. The believers would be outside of paradise, and then they come in from its entrances. So, in the middle of that huge garden is a special place called Al-Firdaus. And it's the highest part of that garden. And directly overhead is the Arsh. And that Arsh has what? Chandeliers. There are birds who perch in the chandeliers that dangle from the underside of the Arsh. ثم إن حول العرش ملائكة. Then, furthermore, around the Arsh there are angels. They make tawaf around the Arsh, like the humans make tawaf around the Kaaba. لا يعلم عددهم إلا الله سبحانه وتعالى. No one knows their number but God, glorified and exalted, how many angels there are. Yani, it looks like this sentence is saying, no one knows how many angels are circling that Arsh but Allah. And the fact of the matter is, no one knows how many angels there are except Allah. The ones that circle the Arsh and other than the ones that circle the Arsh. Because Allah said, وَلَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. No one knows the forces of your Lord but He. Yani, no one knows their number. Those are the angels. وَهُوَ أَكْبَرُ مَخْلُوقَاتِ اللَّهِ حَجْمًا. And it is the largest of God's creations in volume. وَمِسَاحَةً. And in area. وَامْتِدَادًا. And in expanse. قَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. The Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, ما السماوات السبع مع الكرسي إلا كحلقة ملقاة بأرض فلاه. The seven heavens compared to the kursi is but like a ring or a link thrown into an open land. So imagine an open land like a desert. And then take a ring that you have that goes around your finger, for example, or a link to a chain. And imagine that one tossed into the desert. How big is the desert compared to this ring or this link? All the seven heavens is like the ring, and the kursi is like the open land. وَفَضْلُ الْعَرْشِ عَلَى الْكُرْسِي كَفَضْلِ الْفَلَاةِ عَلَى الْحَلْقَةِ. And the additional size of the Arsh compared to the Kursi is like the additional size of the open land compared to the ring or the link. So halqa, like a ring or a link. Doesn't have to be like a ring on your finger. Usually you call that a khatam. But like what if you had like a ring on your door? Or what if you had a ring that you tie your animal to it? For example, you call that halqa. رواه ابن حبان وغيره. That's narrated by Ibn Hibban and others. والعرش يحمله أربعة من أعظم الملائكة. And the Arsh is carried by four of the most enormous angels. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. in the books of tafsir, they mention some things like this. You already know this. We don't know how many angels there are, but they mention there's different kinds, like different squads of them. Like some of the angels could identify other ones. They would say those, oh, those are the such and such angels. Allah knows. وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَكُونُونَ ثَمَانِيَةً. And on resurrection day, there will be 8 such angels. قال الله تعالى, said God, exalted is He, وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. And carrying the Arsh of your Lord over them on that day are 8 angels. Very, very huge. وقد وصف الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أحد حملة العرش بأن ما بين شحمة أذنه إلى عاتقه مسيرة 700 عام بخفقان الطير المسرع. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam described one of those carriers or bearers of the Arsh, that between his earlobe and his shoulder, is 700 years. Between his earlobe and his shoulder is 700 years covered by a swift bird. 700 years covered by a swift bird. A tayr, flying creature. Allah knows how fast. What's meant there, how fast is that swift bird? Some of those birds are very fast. Faster than others. Rawahu Abu Dawood. Abu Dawood narrated that. Here's a question here. Did you ever learn the significance as to why it will be 8 angels carrying the throne on that day? No. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Al-hikmatu min khalqi al-arsh. The wisdom behind the creation of the arsh. يستحيل عقلا أن يكون العرش مقعدا لله. It's impossible intellectually that the arsh would be a seat for God. فكيف يكون الرب الذي هو خالق للعرش وغيره محمولا على سرير يحمله الملائكة على أكتافهم. How would it be? How does it make sense that the Lord, who is the creator of the Arsh and the creator of everything else, would be carried upon a bed that's carried by angels on their shoulders? Because said that they're carrying the Arsh it's being placed on their shoulders. You know the angels never get tired too. ولا يصح تفسير قول الله تعالى الرحمن على العرش استوى بجلس. It's not valid to interpret this ayah الرحمن على العرش استوى as sitting, meaning to interpret istawa as jalasa. It doesn't mean Ar-Rahman on the Arsh sat. يعني Ar-Rahman sat on the Arsh. لأن الجلوس من صفات البشر والجن والملائكة والدواب. Because sitting is one of the attributes of humans and genies and angels and animals. What I learned in Imla is that you don't write an alif in the name Ar-Rahman, you only pronounce it. The meme should be directly connected to the noon. And that, what I learned is, writing the alif is incorrect. بل معنى قول الله تعالى الرحمن على العرش استوى قهر. Rather, the meaning of الرحمن على العرش استوى is dominated. لأن القهر صفة كمال. Because dominance is an attribute of perfection. لائق بالله تعالى. It is befitting of God. Meaning, it is one of the meanings of the word istawa, and it befits God. لِذَلِكَ وَصَفَ اللَّهُ نَفْسَهُ. That's why he described himself فَقَالَ by saying وَهُوَ الْوَاحِدُ الْقَهَّارُ. So one of the meanings of istawa is qahara. And that works because Allah said He is Al-Qahhar. And He said وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ. Allah in the Quran named Himself Al-Qahir and Al-Qahhar. So to interpret istawa as qahara is fine. There's no mukhalafa here. Why would the Wahhabis hate it so much? Because they have something in their hearts. And maybe that's why, uh, because they really have something in their hearts, that's why when they want to say what istawa does not mean according to them, they say istawa does not mean istawla. Istawla means qahara. But looks like they don't want to explain istawa as qahara, but they can't deny qahara. Even the wording of qahara, they can't deny it. So they're gonna deny this meaning, but with a different word. So they're gonna say, "A'udhu billah." Don't say istawa means istawla. If you say, "Yeah, it does," which it does, because qahara means istawla. Istawla means qahara. If you say, "Yeah, it does mean istawla," it can mean istawla. Then they're gonna argue with you, have a debate going back and forth, talking about citing scholars about whether istawa means istawla or doesn't mean istawla. So here, just don't even go there. Tell him istawla. You mean qahara? And you said istawa doesn't mean istawla. Don't you know istawla means qahara? And then you impose on him the word qahara here. He wants to impose the word istawla just so he can argue with you and waste your time. Beat around the bush. فهذا العرش العظيم خلقه الله إظهارا لعظيم قدرته. So this enormous Arsh, Allah created it as a demonstration of His great power. وَلَمْ يَتَّخِذْهُ مَكَانًا لِذَاتِهِ. And He did not take it as a place for Himself. لأن المكان من صفات الخلق. Because place is one of the attributes of the creations. So it is important here to talk about this issue of istiwa when we're talking about the Arsh. Although the Arsh is one thing, that's a creation. And the istiwa, that's an attribute of Allah Ta'ala. That's actually another topic. The istiwa itself is another topic. But because these two words came in some ayahs, then when we mention the Arsh, then it became appropriate to mention the istiwa, since many people, old and new, misinterpret the istiwa to mean he sat on the Arsh or he rose over the Arsh. So it became clear for me in translation what this means. They say he rose means he rose over the Arsh. How close is that? How far is that? You know what rose over means? If we were to use those words, it would have to mean overcame. That means dominated. It's like he rose over the throne means he overcame the Arsh. He overcame the Arsh. What does overcome means? Means qahara, to dominate it. So they're going to say, well, this means you're saying he struggled. So we're going to say, no, it doesn't mean that. It means that the instant the Arsh was created, it was under his power without any struggle. That's how he overcame it. And he overcomes me and you too. There's no struggle here. And then we're going to say to them, but you, on the other hand, you're saying he was in a place underneath the Arsh and then he had to overcome that lower direction and come over the Arsh so he can be higher than it. Because according to you, being higher means he's greater. Now I'm just skipping a little bit here. فالملائكة الكرام الحافون حول العرش. So those angels who make tawaf around the arsh, والذين لا يعلم عددهم إلا الله, and those whom, yani those same ones whom no one knows their number but Allah, يسبحون الله تعالى ويقدسونه, they glorify Allah, they say words of dhikr, they say tasbih and taqdees, like subhanallah and subuhun qudusun and similar statements. ويزدادون علما بكمال قدرة الله سبحانه وتعالى عندما يرون هذا العرش العظيم. And they increase in knowledge, they become more knowledgeable, yani they become ever more knowing about the perfection of God's power when they see this enormous arsh. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Al-qalam al-a'la wal-lawh al-mahfuz, the high pen and the guarded tablet. خلق الله تعالى القلم الأعلى بعد خلق الماء والعرش. Allah Ta'ala created the high pen after the creation of the water and the arsh. وهو ثالث المخلوقات. It is the third of creations. وهو جرم عظيم جدا. It is an enormous object. Very enormous. Yani very big object. على شكل نور. It has the shape of light. What does that mean? What I learned that this means it's not light, because light wasn't created yet. So it means it's like light. It's not light. So I don't have anything more there. ثم خلق الله تعالى بعد القلم الأعلى اللوح المحفوظ. Then Allah Ta'ala created after the high pen the guarded tablet. وهو رابع المخلوقات, and it is the fourth of creations. قال بعض العلماء إنه فوق العرش. Some scholars said it's over the arsh. وقال بعضهم إنه تحت العرش, and some said it's below the arsh. وجرمه عظيم جدا, and its volume is also very enormous. مقداره ومساحته مسيرة 500 عام. Its measure and its area is a walking distance of 500 years. طوله ما بين السماء والأرض. Its height is what's between the earth and the sky. وعرضه ما بين المشرق والمغرب, and its width is between east and west. Yeah, so it means like if you saw that, it's like you're not going to even perceive its edges. That's how big it is. So high up and so far across in both directions. وقد أمر الله القلم أن يجري على اللوح المحفوظ. God commanded the pen to run over the guarded tablet. فجرى بقدرة الله, and so it ran by God's power. ومن غير أن يمسه أحد من الخلق, and without any creation touching it. وسطر في اللوح المحفوظ كل ما سيكون في العالم. And it documented in the guarded tablet everything that shall happen in the world. حتى نهاية الدنيا وحتى نهاية الدنيا, until the end of the world. وهذا معنى حديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الذي رواه أحمد والترمذي. And this is the meaning of the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that's narrated by Ahmad and At-Tirmidhi عن عبادة بن الصامت from Ubadah ibn al-Samit عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, from the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, قال أول ما خلق الله القلم. He said the first of what Allah created was the pen. ثم قال اكتب. ثم قال اكتب. Then he said to the pen, write. فجرى بما هو كائن إلى يوم القيامة. And then the pen ran with everything that shall be until resurrection day. والدليل من القرآن الكريم على أن كل شيء كائن في هذا العالم حتى يوم القيامة مسجل في اللوح المحفوظ. And the evidence from the noble Quran that everything that shall be in the world until resurrection day is recorded in the guarded tablet. هو قوله تعالى. It is what God said, exalted is He. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Surah Yasin, it means we have encompassed everything. We have encompassed it in a clear record. Imam here means a record, which is the guarded tablet. Imamin Mubin, a clear record. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ. The meaning is أَحْصَيْنَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. That's why there's fatha here on kulla. What's making that fatha be there? It's not there. It's estimated. يقدر. تقديره أحصينا. What proves what we should be estimating here is what comes after this word أحصينا. So the meaning is يعني. It turns out then the meaning is hyperbolic because it has in it repetition. So the meaning is وَأَحْصَيْنَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Maybe you wonder why it just doesn't mean أحصي يعني أحصينا كل شيء في إمام مبين. أحصينا كل شيء في إمام مبين. Why are you repeating the word twice? Because of this pronoun here. أحصيناه, we encompassed it. What's it? It is كل شيء. So needs another verb because this one's already busy. أحصينا right here is already busy with this hat. أحصيناه, so we need another one. وأحصينا كل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. That's how I explain that. And other ayahs in the Quran like that. والقمر قدرناه في منازل. أي وقدرنا القمر قدرناه منازل. ومن الحديث قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And evidence from the hadith is that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, كتب الله مقادير الخلائق قبل أن يخلق السماوات والأرض ب50 ألف سنة وكان عرشه على الماء. And his arsh was over the water. Allah wrote the destinies of the creations before creating heavens and earth by 50,000 years. Yani 50,000 years before creating heavens and earth. And before that, his arsh was over the water. Yeah, before he wrote the destinies of the world, his arsh was over the water. Before he created heavens and earth, he wrote the destinies of the world. Before of everything that will happen in the world. And before he wrote the destinies of everything that will happen in the world, his arsh was over the water. خلق السماوات والأرض Looks like this one, we should save this for next time. The creation of the heavens and earth, creation of heavens and earth. That does not include paradise and hell. Paradise and hell are outside of heavens and earth. So paradise and hell, they are part of al-alam. If you want, then you can say here, alam means universe if you want. So al-jannatu wan-nar, they are part of the alam, but they are outside of heavens and earth. They're not part of heavens and earth. So do not equate heavens and earth with the universe. Universe is broader than heavens and earth. Because universe, if you want to use that word, or you could possibly use the word the world, you don't mean the earth. It means all of the creations, all of creations. So heavens, paradise and hell are outside of heavens and earth. And now we want to read about heavens and earth, but this section here is long and should be actually. Paradise and hell were created before heavens and earth. So paradise is above the seventh heaven and hell is below the seventh earth. And next section here is the creation of heavens and earth. But let's stop here. And then inshallah ta'ala, we can read about heavens and earth in the next session. Yani we're stopping a little bit early. We're going to usually go about an hour, but I don't want to cut this off. So do you have any questions? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك آمين وفيك